Today, we're gonna help out some senior citizens. Now, we each got assigned a senior citizen buddy. I actually, luckily, got someone who looks exactly like Joseph Joestar.
What a complete lie.
Me lying? Why would I lie about such a thing? You know what? Who did you actually? You know what? I want to see who you got. Let's see. Who is this? Who is this?
Joseph Joestar?
This is Joseph Joestar? No, this is not. This is the poor man's version. This is the poor man's version. You're the one who's lying! Yeah, I'm sort of shocked to now finally realize this, but at the same time, in retrospect, it's not that surprising. The ending scene within Battle Tendency was created well before Part 3 began production, and I believe it's safe to assume that each project consisted mostly of different animators and artists, and as a result, different styles and subtle nuances are to be expected. Nevertheless, the real question today is which design is better, so which do I enjoy more? Well, I know this sounds hypocritical from what I said beforehand, but I actually prefer the earlier design shown within Part 2's ending. I can't exactly put my finger on it, but something just screams more badass. I don't know, he's got a bit of that cool past hero bitterness done just right. The original would seem as if he's eager to relive his glory days. It would have made this scene significantly even more amazing. Also, on a less serious note, the Part 2 design just has an overall cleaner shave. His hair looks way more realistic and has bigger sideburns. Some may say, wait, what? What does bigger sideburns have to do with anything? Well, I don't know. As someone who is ashamed of his terrible pedo stash, I one day would mess with growing an epic full beard, and that would include larger sideburns as well. Anyway, the main point that I'm trying to make is the original design has a way cleaner shave than the final version they went with within Part 3. Either way, let's now compare to the final version. For starters, the Part 3 design has more of a relaxed, cartoonish, and goofier lighthearted take, which isn't bad whatsoever. This, to be fair, certainly fits within old Joseph's personality. Oh, and yeah, I forgot, he also has that hat, which I think complements the design very well. In addition, on a lesser note, Part 3's version shoulders literally look like cylinders. Man, that's just strange. And just a little side note, what is with JoJo characters having these odd shoulder shapes? This was literally the case within Part 6 Stone Ocean's manga. Araki sort of went for this chiseled look. It's weird, but I'd be lying if I said this otherwise, that it's oddly appealing. Speaking of the manga, which design relates the closest to the original source material? Doing a bit of research, I realized that the ending scene from Part 2 actually made an appearance within the manga. I know that sounds absurd to hear, but try to consider my point of view as well. A, I've only read parts 1 through 6 within the manga. B, I didn't think Araki would future-proof that well. It's actually kind of insane because I read back to actually see these panels, and the end of Part 2 Old Joseph and the beginning of Part 3 Old Joseph look very similar. This is because Part 2 ended in 1989 and Part 3 began its production within 1989 as well. So my first impression was wrong, and this really wasn't too much of future-proofing. This is a pretty good explanation on why these two versions of Old Joseph look rather similar to each other. And my last reason, C, I thought that this was a cheeky, cool cameo that was an anime exclusive only. But aside from that, I believe the final Part 3 anime design most resembles both Part 2 and 3's original manga representations. You know, aside from the hat, of course. I can't explain why I feel this way, but that's the conclusion I came up with after staring at these images for hours. In conclusion, I feel that the final decision the crew went with was probably for the best. As I mentioned before, the goofy / lighthearted look really does fit his character much better than the previous design. Personally, I thought this original design would have been really cool to be put into light within part 3, and most of that desire is sort of out of curiosity. I think it'd be, I don't know, it would just be really cool to see that all go down. You guys don't care about that though. You want to know the in-canon reason behind this change. And you know what? There actually is. One of my commenters informed me on this matter, and it makes total sense. Old Joseph Joestar cut his hair either on or before he took off to go on that plane. I'll explain even more, because I know this sounds extremely absurd. Okay, when reading the end of part 2 within the manga, I noticed one key thing. The airport is in New York. Until now, I assumed that this was in Japan, literally minutes before he was about to meet Holly. Nevertheless, end of part 2, New York. Beginning of part 3, Tokyo, Japan. 2 different locations, 2 different airports, 1 plane trip, or maybe multiple plane trips. We don't really know actually. But in between those destinations, old Joseph definitely could have cut his hair, maybe bought a cool new hat at the airport souvenir shop, who knows? Heck, he could have even cut his hair on the plane itself. It makes total sense, you know, because back then, I mean, nowadays obviously you really can't take knives or cutting equipment on planes for obvious reasons, but back then it was a lot more lax, so maybe he could have just took his cutting utensils, going into the airplane bathroom and, you know, gave himself a nice shave. You know what, I think that's what happened. I want to believe that, because you know what, that's a much more interesting backstory than, well, different artists, different animators, a different style. Nah. I want to believe that reason. But yeah, guys, what do you think? Do you believe Joseph cut his hair in an airport bathroom, or do you believe he cut his hair on the plane itself? Which design do you prefer at the end of the day? The original or the final version that was featured within part 3? I'm definitely within the minority within my Discord, because the majority stated that they enjoy the part 3 design much more. Anyway, voice your thoughts and opinions down below. I'll love to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you so much for watching and tuning into the end of the video. I 100% appreciate it. And if you want to see more content from me, I have a Twitch channel that I stream pretty much, I believe, 4 days out of the week, linked down below, and I have an art Instagram in which I'm going to start posting art. I swear I will very soon. So if you want to see more art, or you want to see any of my art, click down below. Either way, thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.